Hi everybody, it's your buddy Brad here, and today we are going to be taking a look at some of the new features and variations in JWildfire 7.50. So if we take a look at the list of changes right here, you see one of the first things is a re-implemented the real-time refresh of the Flame preview for editing. And so what that means is, let me get a different color here. You can see it better. Now when you move the triangles around or make changes to the variation, before it would try to render it in real time. If you have this button clicked, the real time button clicked, it will try to do it constantly in real time. Now there is a little bit of a delay. So if you can see, once I start moving this triangle here, it's a little pixelated, but that just means that it's the real-time rendering is not in effect. So if you turn off real-time rendering, you'll see it's pretty much the same. But you see, as soon as I turn on that real-time rendering, it starts to render some. And so that what means that while I'm making any changes, the real-time rendering is not working. But as soon as you release the button, it starts to do the real-time rendering. And that might seem like kind of a small thing, but it makes a huge improvement in the CPU strain, and it also affects the speed of the like changing all the like the sliders and stuff. They move a lot faster now, which is a very good thing. Then if you look at one of the next kind of new features is mark unmarked variations as a favorite. Some of these other things here you can read through. Really not able to show them in this tutorial, but you can read through them and try them out for as you wish. And so with the favorites, you'll see when you create a new from scratch, it has this little heart now. And you'll see it says mark unmarked the current variation as a favorite. And so if you have a favorite variation that you use a lot, you can actually mark this, and then up here next to filter you'll see another heart. It's black or grayed out. If you select that, then only the variation that you have selected as a favorite will show up in the drop-down list. So you'll see I have already a few of my favorite new variations, which can help if you only use certain variations all the time, and it's really easy to add and remove them. So let me go ahead and uncheck this. If you want to add a variation, you can just select something. You need to make sure that the heart is unchecked. Let's just pick this first one here. And so we can click that, adds the heart. And now, if you hit the heart up here at the top, you can see it has been added to our favorites list. Then if we uncheck the heart, now you can see that it has been removed from the list. It's as easy as that. And then the next and last big thing that I'm going to show you is there is new powerful brush strokes WF variation. It has a regular variation, a post variation, and he has also added some mutagen and a random generator. It's called Painterly. And also a bokeh style. So that is kind of big. So a little backstory is I had a few months ago, not even a month ago, I asked Andreas if there would be a way to add like a brush stroke to JWildfire to that, because I like to do I like to do a lot of painterly type fractals that are almost look like a painting. So I thought, what if we could add brush strokes to JWildfire? And so that's kind of what got him thinking on this. And to get started, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to select Brush Strokes WF. Brush Stroke, sorry. And let's get a nice bright color. And when you first look at it, you'll notice like right away it doesn't act like a normal brush stroke as in like Photoshop or any other type of photo editing software. It actually works in a fractalized manner. So to begin with, I'm going to zero out almost everything here. I'm going to zero out this, 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 this. I'm going to leave that. Change that. Change that. Change that. You can keep this is the seed, you can keep that the same. Okay, so right away we can see a image that looks like a paintbrush shape. And if we want to have different shapes, make sure you have brush list selected and we hit the gear symbol. And you will see there is, on this variation, there's some defaults as already put in there. These will always be the same when you're selecting the variation by default, but you can change them. There are 245 different brush strokes that you can choose from. And I actually downloaded these from GitHub, and I just have them on my computer just as a reference. I've also shared these in some of the Facebook groups as well. This is a very good reference to use while doing this, if you are using this variation. So, let's just stick with 001 right now. Okay, so let's go through some of these variables real quick. Grid size. Well, first, blend. Blend is mostly used when using it as a first variation, and I will get into that later. Grid size. It actually makes a grid. You can see it here. Also, the amount actually changes the size of the original brush stroke. So we have a grid size, and then grid deform, which is where when it starts to get fun, that it spreads out in to cover a wide space. And then next is brush rotate, and it will rotate. You can bring this up some, and you see it will rotate brush strokes in at different rotations throughout the grid. And then next is scale. You'll notice if we change this, some of the brush strokes get bigger, some of them get smaller. Brushstroke blend. Some of them this makes some of the brush strokes a little darker, some of them a little bit brighter. That way it gives more of kind of a layering effect on the image. Color channel we'll get into in a moment. Threshold kind of affects the how strong it's actually affecting, like here, how the kind of like the influence of the brush. The higher the number, the kind of inverse effect of kind of the inverse effect. So you see it's not using quite the whole brush. The higher it goes up until it almost disappears. You want to keep this actually kind of low. Not too low. If you go in negative, you'll see it actually inverts. But that is actually what the next button does. So like, like here, this is actually a white background on a black brush. If you invert to 1 or 0, you'll see now you get the inverse effect of the brush. Batch size, I think that more has to do with when using image. No, I take that back. If you're using more than one brush. And when adding brushes, you will need to type them in as 001, 005, 089. Always, if it has to have 3 characters. And so it'll be 099, then 100. You just need to make sure you have 3 characters when typing in a brush number. And then we can go back to the zoom. This kind of has a little bit of the same effect as the scale. Position. Okay. Moves the brushes around even more. And then erosion. I'll use a little bit of that. And then next we have variation seed, which you can see it will spread out the grid in different in different ways. Image max, that has to do with when using a image file name, and then the anti-alias radius. That if you go really high, you see it really blurs out the variation the higher you go. Sometimes you may want that. It's good to keep it at a low number. But if you get too low, you will start to get a lot more of this. I don't know if you can see here how there's like the way it makes these images is it's a little pixelated, but for the most part you don't really see the pixels. That way, if you do see the pixels, that's when you should increase the radius. So let's go ahead and start another flame. Okay, so I just selected UBQ, and we're going to come down here, and we are going to select Post Brushstroke. Post Brushstroke and Brushstroke all have the same variables, but they just work in a different way. The Post one kind of adheres to the shape of whatever variation it is working off of. Like on here with the Julian, if we come here and make it a solid circle, it adheres to that solid circle a little bit better. Making some changes here, trying to get there we go. Now you see, while even though we have the brushes around the side, it's still adhering to the Julian shape, the round shape. And I actually find this more useful than using the regular variation at I find using the post variation more useful than using the regular variation, at least in the type of work that I do. And then you can use this variation in place of some other things, like here. I used it here. You can see some of the effect here and here. I use it on separation. I use it as a post brush here. And it just adds a little bit of the painterly effect throughout just a little bit of the image instead of having it over the whole image. Or you can just have it over the whole image if you want to. If you want to do that, easiest way to do it is hit Add Final, do a post brush, and that will affect the whole fractal as a whole. And it does blur it out, but when you render it, you really do see the differences in the brushes, which gives it a painterly appearance. Sometimes you might have to adjust like the grid size. I'm going to go extreme and really make it big. We can also change I'm going kind of extreme here just to show you how it can affect the image. So you can use it as in place of like a blur or a bubble, or other or if you use a flower in a fractal, you can use it in place of that. It is very versatile. I did about 42 flames while testing this out, and I try to use them in very different ways. I also used it. It looks good in tiles. I have here's some images that I have done while testing. Like here you can see in this tile, this is the part where I used brush instead of a linear on one of the tiles, and you can see how it gave it the effect. I think I use post brush on the linear. Let's see if I can find that flame real quick. That will be a good example. One moment. Yeah, so this was a flame I got from If Tile, and you can see I used it on the use it with linear and the post brush. Here you can use the blend And if it's at 0, none of the variation it's working off of will be visible. But if you improve it, or make the blend higher, normally between 0 and 1, above 1, there's no effect. And here, if I do 5, you can see there is still some of the effect of the linear, and still some of the effect of the brush stroke. Of course, in that flame, I wanted the full effect of the brush stroke, so that's why I actually turned it all the way off. And also, as listed, there is a new Painterly random generator. Choose some of these. Do a random batch. And as you see, this pretty much just does a linear and a brush stroke as a final on most common random flames like that you might already have. So I'm actually going to go ahead and delete it here off of this one. And then if we come down here to quick mutations, let me move this out of the way. I have to move myself out of the way. And you can see Painterly style here. You click mutate. There we go. If you want, also as a little tip, getting doing the random generations is a good way of also getting a good list of brushes. Like here, you can see this has 3 brushes on it. Sometimes you might have 4 or 5, but you can always just copy like that. Like if you like those brushes, you can copy it and paste it into another fractal you might be working on. And so that is about it. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know. And until next time, bye.